folks, and welcome to Garbage Theater. Tonight's installment, Rogue Strike. I'm your host, Chase, with my co-hosts, Blake and John.
Woo, woo, woo.
Let's get this shit show on the road. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be.
Motherfucker.
This was way worse than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to have more Eric Roberts and less two assholes talking endlessly about nothing.
Look, inside of a tin can.
I mean, how often was Eric Roberts in it?
He had, I think, 4 scenes total?
Yeah, it was maybe 2 total minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
Because I got a bit of a confession.
Yeah?
I may not have watched the movie.
We still have to, do a podcast.
I've watched the movie. Come on.
So, yeah, I
know.
While I was...
I just like keeping you guessing, that's all.
Gotta be on my toes at all times.
That's right.
Oh, man. So, yeah, while I was watching this, I was like, man, this is fucking boring. What are we even going to talk about? So, I compiled a list of Eric Roberts trivia for whenever the podcast gets boring. I'll just hit you with trivia.
There you go.
There's a lot of interest.
Right.
Eric Roberts is an interesting person.
I've got one more page of notes for this that I did for Orcs.
Really?
So, I don't know.
Dude, the first 10 minutes, more than 10 minutes of this movie, it was literally like somebody set up a webcam at somebody's office and just listened to them talk at work.
This whole movie was just shot on webcam. There's no angles in this movie. It's just a wide shot of 2 people next to each other the entire movie.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, the only shots that weren't done with green screens was the ones inside the sub. And
inside the mini sub. The Russian sub was all green screen.
Yeah. But I love their attempt to build a sub to film in. It was just LED light strips and some dryer tubing and that was about it.
Some glow in the dark yo-yos. A couple of office chairs.
Yeah, a joystick. Two mismatched office chairs.
Oh my god, the gauges that he'd screwed to the wall. They're
I know.
There's so many gauges, and they're all just printouts of gauges. They don't move.
Nonsense.
Anything they ever needed to look at was just on their little computer screen.
Yeah, the catch-all computer screen.
Right.
Oh my god.
Okay, well let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Can I first? I got one thing really quick.
Okay.
That Chase, I think you misinterpreted the trivia that you gave for the movie on Coming Attractions.
Oh, did I?
I think so. The boom operator did not work on the TV miniseries The Stand.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
The piece of trivia you gave was under the crazy credits section. So it was actually giving credit to an inanimate stand that held the boom mic.
That makes it so much better.
It's so much better. Holy shit.
The credit is boom operator, the stand.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
This movie's worth it now. Because we never would have gotten down to that if we hadn't had to sit down and watch this thing.
That makes it all worth it. My eyes are watering right now. The stand.
Sweet Jesus.
Oh my, you can't make that shit up, man.
No, that's fantastic. What a payoff to that little bit of trivia 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, really.
Well, John, you saved the day. Too bad you're gonna lose tonight.
I know, it's a real shame.
Holy shit. Okay, well, moving on from that bombshell, which I'm sure is the highlight of the episode.
Yeah.
The movie opens up to a text crawl informing us that the U.S. has lost 8 nukes since 1950. that over 100 nukes have been lost globally, and leaked documents from a Russian sub carrying a Prometheus warhead sunk in the Pacific Ocean, but both Russian and U.S. intelligence deny it. Well, then they proceed to show us a little clip before the opening title that is that. So
I guess that all that information in my brain that I used to keep track of how many weapons went missing and all that is all for nothing. Thanks.
Yeah. Nah, not going to be that easy.
Get that out the way.
So, a Russian sub appears. The sub's in trouble. The captain's issuing orders to seal off compartments that have caught fire. The second in command wants to inform Moscow of the mission's failure, but the captain refuses. And there's some very technical looking stuff in the background of this submarine. Just, I'm pretty sure those are the controls that I saw on the bridge of Megamaid.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the computer generated flames in the background.
Oh, that too. Just the nonsense on the wall that makes it read, "This is a submarine."
Well, how else are you gonna know?
Yeah. The engineer calls from the most green screen looking room in existence to say that the engine room's flooding and they've lost propulsion and the reactors have been scrammed, which is, I had to look up, and that's an actual term for an emergency shutdown of nuclear reactors. Scramming.
Yeah, everybody knows that, Chase.
Yeah.
One thing that I have to say about this movie is that I feel like this dude actually did his research.
Well, he did his research, but just reciting Wikipedia pages does not make for a well done movie.
Oh, absolutely not.
He should have done his research on writing a goddamn script.
Yes, he needed to read Robert McKee's story before he did all this bullshit about science and whatnot. But
Jesus Christ.
Go on.
So the captain orders to engage the diesel backups, but the engineer says it's no use. The depth counter calls out that they've passed their designated test depth, and the engineer's no longer answering the radio. So the captain gives in and issues the order to blow the ballast and radio to Moscow. Rogue strike pops up. So none of that was necessary because it was all summarized in the opening crawl. No new information was given in that scene.
Nope.
Just, there's a Russian submarine with a experimental nuclear warhead that went down. Thanks. You could have saved us 10 minutes of having to suffer through that. But if that wasn't enough, now you're going to sit through 15 minutes of the longest opening credit sequence I've ever had to experience.
That's pretty long.
And what's up with the splashy 3D Studio Max?
Somebody was given a $15 budget to go to Envato and get some After Effects things to make some title cards, and that was it. And they're like, I found this one with paint on it. I can make it all blue and make it look like water.
Yeah. It looks like Tide detergent. Just
pretty much what it was.
Splashed around the opening credits. And they go through every single credit possible. It's like the old style movies where they do all the credits up front.
Right.
Well, then they do them all again at the end.
Yeah. Christ.
I think I read that Kerry Beyer did the VFX for the movie as well as everything else, apparently. So he probably did this opening sequence also.
Yeah. Wrote, directed, starred in, and animated the amazing opening credits. Cut to the White House. Bob Ryan, the lead analyst for the CIA.
Wait. I think anytime you say cut to you should automatically say quote unquote the White House, because nothing in this movie exists in real life.
They just held the camera over a picture of the White House in like a magazine. So, cut to the quote unquote White House, where quote unquote Bob Ryan, the quote unquote lead analyst of the CIA, is informing the president that a Russian nuclear sub has just gone down in the Marianas Trench. And the prez comes up and says, "Oh, the Marianas Trench. That's 35,000 feet deep, if I'm not correct. 35,800 to be exact, Mr. President." What the fuck?
All I'm seeing is trivia questions going out the window.
I know. I have like all of this crap written down.
Yeah. It's making me very worried.
And highlighted. Why is
he had to correct him on the 800. If this was The Price is Right, the president would have won both showcases.
He would.
Oh, and looking into it, the Marianas Trench is actually 36,070 feet deep.
Oh, come on.
They're both wrong.
Jesus Christ.
I just got done complimenting you on your research, you fuck.
Way to go.
Why is the president a teenage boy? He's got like acne and stuff. It's like ridiculous.
It's who they had on hand. It was
hey, get that boy that cuts the grass down the street.
He was the boom mic operator. They had to pull him in front of the screen, then get the stand to stand in.
The stand put him out of business, but they gave him a job on the shoot anyway.
Yeah.
They took her job.
So the president says, do we really need to worry about another sunken Russian submarine? Probably.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. Ryan informs them that this particular sub was carrying Project Prometheus, to which the president says, "What's Project Prometheus? Doesn't anyone read reports around here? No, because we're all too busy learning fun facts about the goddamn Marianas Trench."
Inaccurate fun facts.
The Marianas Trench is super cool, though. I mean, it's super cool.
Yeah, that's what the president was saying. Like, did you read these reports? No, I was reading about the Marianas Trench. Well, why aren't you reading your reports? But the trench is cool.
It's really cool. Do you know what's down there?
Man!
They got those anglerfish.
Your mom's a report.
So it's at this point that I'm realizing that what we're watching is just a feature-length version of Decker on Adult Swim. It's exactly what it looks like. Project Prometheus is an experimental nuclear weapon with 10 times the power of the entire U.S. nuclear arsenal. And everyone's going to be looking for it. We need to get it first. So the press asks, how long until we can have a recovery team searching for it? To which Ryan answers, well, we can't because we don't have a vessel able to reach that depth. Well, who does? Well, his name is James Cameron, the bravest pioneer. No budget too steep, no sea too deep. Who's that? It's him, James Cameron. So, I'm telling you, they either wrote off James Cameron's voyage and they're trying to make these people be that, or they just didn't do their research onto how many times people have gone to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And I'm going to get to that.
Maybe the guy that we're going to meet in a few minutes, Jay, is supposed to be James Cameron.
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm thinking that they were doing.
Okay.
So we cut to some clowns in a closet dressed up as an interior of a small submersible.
Correct.
We're introduced to Jay, the captain of the experimental sub, and Scott, a documentary filmmaker. And Scott's a little seasick. And Jay, he likes to act big. Big acting. At every turn. Oh, you signed the forms asking about motion sickness. You knew you got seasickness and decided getting on an experimental submersible was a good idea.
Oh, man. The writing.
Are you telling me that's not how you're supposed to act?
We're in for a long movie, folks. They're going to document the descent to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And Jay is ever so excited that he's going to be the second person to ever do this. Who was the first person? James Cameron, explorer of the sea. So here's where I decided to do a little bit of research on the Marianas Trench, going from most recent back in time. So this movie was made in 2014. Gotcha. James Cameron piloted the Deep Sea Challenger to the bottom of the Marianas Trench in 2012. Mm-hmm. But before that, an ROV Nereus, an unmanned rover, made the descent in 2009. Before that, a Japanese unmanned ROV, the Kaiko, went down in 1995. And before that, the first manned trip to the bottom of the Marianas Trench was in the Swiss-made, Italian-designed bath escape Trieste in 1960.
Okay.
So
whoever was in there, balls of steel, my friend. I mean, 1960?
1960, they went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Didn't even have cable TV.
No.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's back when men were men.
That's right.
Yeah. So the makers of this movie knew that James Cameron did it, and that's all they bothered to look into.
Seems that way.
Or they're pretending they're James Cameron and they're counting that one.
I mean,
yeah, that's the only other way.
We'll let John defend that one, considering he applauded the research done for this movie.
I know. I gotta learn to keep my mouth shut whenever I'm trying to compliment some of these crappy movies. Oh man. I'm guessing that it just had to be this way for the story, I guess.
Captain J tells Scott to start recording, and Scott forgets to take the cap off the lens of the camera. This is our director, ladies and gentlemen, the actual director of the movie. Jay introduces the Trident II, and when he does this, he switches into like the accent of an 18th century English lord for no reason whatsoever.
Like he's punching up production for whenever he becomes famous.
Scott is either seasick or narcoleptic because it seems like he's just falling asleep. Jay gives a bunch of exposition about the Marianas Trench and them aiming to reach the bottom, and they dive down. So as they're going down, some guy comes on their screen and asks Jay if he's sure he wants to continue doing this, and he's concerned if there's an emergency that Scott's not trained to do anything, and that Jay, he's not a young man anymore. And turns out this guy on the screen is Captain Jay's son. I don't know if we ever learned what his name was, so I don't have it.
We did.
I think we did, actually. I think it's
okay. Maybe we do.
I think it's Jack.
We find out that the captain has had congestive heart failure a month earlier, and he's doing this.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we rewind a second?
Yeah.
If his son's name is Jack, then it brings the James Cameron thing that much closer to fruition.
Is that
Does James Cameron have a son's name Jack?
No. Think about James Cameron movies.
Oh, the Titanic. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh. Blech.
Oh, no, it's Rick. I'm sorry, I just found my note. It's Rick.
Well, everybody knows that famous character Rick from Avatar.
Little known fact, the Terminator's name was actually Rick. T-800, or Rick, for short.
Rick, as we like to call him. You can call me Tim? Yeah, he had congestive heart failure a month earlier, and now he decides he's going to go to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. I wonder if this is going to come up later in the movie. Scott's girlfriend is also there aboard the ship, and
why is
says
this?
That, I wish I could. Yeah.
Yeah. How does she look, John?
Oh, she's cute. She's cute.
She passes the John test.
This sucks. I keep feeling like I feel like I need to take like a half an hour to explain my position on the podcast and why you guys are wrong. But I know it won't matter because you'll keep shitting on me anyway. Worse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just make it worse.
It's just for this season. We'll have forgotten by next season.
Sure.
What's really bad is every time we're watching a movie, the second a woman comes on screen, I'm like, I wonder what John thinks about that.
She's there. They explain that with the SATCOM and the onboard Wi-Fi, they can have a live feed because they've tethered a fiber optic cable to the surface buoy for broadband, and I'm lost.
It makes no sense.
They have a screen. Why do they need to be able to connect on their phones? Why do they need to be able to send texts? They have a screen.
Now, are they saying that the sub is tethered to the buoy?
I don't know.
I think
because you never see a
have to assume.
I'm assuming that they had some kind of receiver up at the surface sending that has they have an actual like wire. Although how are they gonna have like a 36,000 foot wire?
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. Never mind.
That's a lot of fiber optic cable. Sure. I can't imagine that's cheap.
No.
Scott and his girlfriend met on some flight from Seattle, and Jay's pushing for them to get married, and I guess they're supposed to be endearing the characters to us, but I could care less. There's a lengthy discussion about radioactive leaks and the government covering it up, and we find out Jay's divorced, and Scott and his girlfriend are expecting a baby, and Jay gives a lengthy explanation about the controls and how the ballasts work, and sweet Jesus, can we get this movie moving already?
God.
But it doesn't ever start moving.
Eric Roberts has 475 acting credits on IMDb.
Thanks, Mr. Fun Fact.
Sorry, the movie's pretty boring.
Christ.
The movie's terrible. So Jay started saying that he's gonna have his chili dog that he brought with him, the same food that gave him congestive heart failure a month ago, and he starts having a heart attack immediately.
Yeah.
They don't wait to cash that check at all.
They can't be more than 100 feet down at this point. I mean, go back up.
Yeah.
So also
heart attack.
So you never see this chili dog that he's eating.
No. I looked. I went back and looked for it.
Was that a budget saving issue? They can't afford chili dogs.
We'll green screen it in later, and then they forgot.
They probably didn't want that fat bastard eating chili in that little tin can while they're trying to make a movie.
Just filling it with farts.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I think so. The movie's supposed to have an estimated budget of like $7 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's impossible. There's no way that this could have cost $7 million.
No.
I think that this movie is either some kind of tax fraud or like a producer's style like situation where
more reason why one of these studios of these movies that we watch, let us make a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need $7 million.
No, there's nothing.
I can make this movie right now for $35.
Exactly.
And it'll have a chili dog in it.
That's what I'm talking about. I think Carrie Beyer collected $7 million somehow from investors, pocketed like $6 million of it or whatever.
Right.
He paid himself, from being a director, actor, writer, VFX dude, and then just hit the road.
Yeah, we already know he automated the boom mic stand process.
Yeah.
So
he skipped out on the boom mic operator.
Yeah.
Yeah. He skipped out on the chili dogs. So I'm pretty sure
very possible.
I'm pretty sure we need to bring federal charges against Carrie Beyer for this movie.
Jay has a heart attack already. Scott gives Jay his nitroglycerin pills, and all is well. Scott informs Jay that he doesn't know CPR. So Scott wants to abort the mission, but Jay stops him, and they insist they continue on. And what did the doctor say when you went and told him you were doing this? These doctors schmachters.
Best line in the movie.
And Jay tells Scott that they found a spot on his lungs, and he was told to get his affairs in order because he had stage 4 lung cancer. And this is his absolute last shot at reaching the bottom of the trench. So, be a cool guy, Scott, and let him have this.
Yeah.
Just then, a terrible CGI helicopter approaches with some menacing-looking Russians aboard. We'll meet them in a minute. Scott very, very subtly sneaks a peek into Jay's bag. And by very, very subtly, I mean like... I don't even know how to describe it. The acting that he did to do this.
Yeah, he scooped it up, put it on top of the joystick control system, and then rummaged through it.
All while doing shifty eyes.
Yeah.
And that's showing that he's being stealthy about it.
And Jay's just looking the other way for some reason.
staring at that sweet ass chili dog.
It's like, damn, I wish I could eat that without dying.
So Jay looks into the bag, sees that it's full of C4. Jay jokes that he's a terrorist, and he asks Scott if he had read the report that he'd know what this was for. And then he launches into this explanation of tectonic plates and subduction zones, and I don't give a shit.
Oh my god. The top credit for Eric Roberts currently on IMDb is Homie Alone, which is a ripoff of Home Alone with a black family.
I know what I'm picking next time.
It's slated for release in 2018, so you're gonna have to wait.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, that's in production still. You have to look forward to Homie Alone.
He's got 84 credits for projects in various stages for 2017 and 2018.
Sweet 84. Jesus.
We make fun of this dude, but he's got to be making some serious jack. Like, I mean, he's just by the numbers alone. That's probably why he doesn't care that we make fun of him.
Yeah. No, he doesn't care. I've got other trivia that shows he doesn't care.
Yeah. He's soaking it up in his solid gold bathtub filled with whiskey right now.
Yeah.
So they're going down to blow up some shit so the Oceanographic Institute can see what's going on underneath the tectonic plates or something. The sub creaks and groans, and they launch into yet another lengthy discussion about the makings of the sub, and they've never tested the sub before, and they're talking about metallic glass and the formula for making that, and what the fucking fuck.
Mm-hmm. Did it bother anybody else that the representation of the sub had a window on the front?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But there was no window.
There's no windows to be seen.
Yeah.
That's
making sure.
That's an insane oversight.
Yes.
First of all,
is it though in this movie,
dude? But like,
yes,
I don't understand. Blue screen or green screen or whatever is really cheap, especially the way this dude's doing it, and he's got no problem clearly with it. All he had to do was put a hole with a circle of green fabric outside of it,
yeah,
and then just like project some ocean out there.
Yeah, he didn't need to get the 75 gauges printed at Kinko's and slap them in front. He could have just put a green screen thing.
Yeah, he bought that expensive monitor or TV or whatever that he's got like taped to the console. He can't do
and
this.
Let's not forget that sweet ass Logitech joystick he had up front.
Yeah.
They used the last of the petty cash on the stand.
That stand must have cost $50, $60.
They're tapped out. So now he introduces the ADS, the atmospheric diving suit, which is basically Fallout power armor.
Right.
Jay plans to be the first to set foot on the floor of the Marianas Trench. Cut to a little later, Scott's talking to his girlfriend on his phone, and hears a gunshot ring out. And no one really thinks much of that. Jay can't get a hold of Rick, his son. It is Rick. I have it written down. Jay can't get a hold of Rick when they hear more gunfire ring out. Scott tries to call Amanda on his cell phone and gets the voicemail. Someone from the research ship gets on the little screen and tells them that the ship's been taken over and Jackson and Felix are dead. Who are Jackson and Felix? We're never going to find out. Then he gets shot dead. Now, Jay wants to surface, but Scott stops him and says, if we go up now, they'll just kill us too, so we might as well stay down here. Scott then tries to call 911 on his cell phone in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and asks to talk to the CIA. Mm-hmm. And then we go into this whole fucking who's on first routine with him and the 911 operator.
Right.
Did I say I'm sorry for this movie yet?
Yeah.
But not enough.
Not enough.
So the 911 operator winds up hanging up on them, as you know 911 operators do. So they then dial 411 to start trying to get some headway. They get connected to the CIA headquarters in D.C., but they get the tour guide number instead. And it just keeps going and going and going and going and going.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And this whole scene, they're whispering. They're whispering all the dialogue as if there's a baby asleep on the set somewhere.
There might have been.
They're afraid to raise their voices. They're not going to scare off the boom mic operator. He's inanimate.
It was the baby stand there.
Did you? So this is all one uninterrupted take. It's 4 minutes long.
It's the long cut,
and I mean, this is the thing about this movie, dude. This is the least cinematic movie I think I've ever seen. The vast majority. I think we mentioned this. The vast majority of the shots are either like close-ups or mids from like the chest up.
It's just chest up, two people right next to each other, right on the thirds.
Or close-ups,
the end.
And then he does reverse shot in editing.
Yeah. And
then there occasionally are like these long shots, but long takes are cool, but you got to do something interesting. Like the camera never moves, the characters never move, the blocking never changes.
Because he's the director-writer, he said, okay, now in this scene, I'm going to call 911, and don't worry, I'll handle it. And he just kept going. And the guy behind the camera didn't know when to cut.
You mean the other stand?
Yeah. That's how they just set the camera up to run. He ran around to the front and got in the scene.
Oh, absolutely.
And they just keep going. And then he says, cut, gets up, runs back around the camera.
Eric Roberts played a General Bukake in a film called Chillerama.
Jesus Christ.
They eventually get Bob Ryan's voicemail and give them their coordinates and situation. Just then, a Russian woman, Svetlana, comes on the screen of the sub. She's got a big plastic-looking gun, and they want what money can't buy. Jay offers her his metallic glass formula, and she starts launching off into this speech about how she knows Jay and about all his tech and how impressed she is, and Jesus fucking Christ. Why? Why does everything have to be so long-winded?
I think this dude thinks that
you would think maybe like maybe the alloy is going to come back into play somehow.
Nope.
But it doesn't.
Nope.
I'm guessing that the only reason that they put that in was to make it clear that they knew about Jay and like what he was up to, because there's so much. The only reason because they need his sub. In the world of this movie, he's the only person in the world that can retrieve this warhead for them.
Yeah.
So they have to know that he exists and that he's doing this.
Yeah.
Which they never really explicitly say.
Yeah. Or yeah. Yeah. How they knew he was doing this now? Because it's all complete chance.
Yeah.
That this sub went down and he just happens to be doing his exploratory search to the bottom at the same time.
Right. It's serendipity, I guess.
So they lose comms and she fades out. So we cut back to quote unquote Moscow,
right,
where President Rendenko, who is my favorite character in this entire movie because he never fucking speaks, is being briefed by Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flying squirrel.
About using a nuclear strike to destroy the Prometheus before anyone can reach it, and that Captain Novikov is nearby the location should things go awry. And her facial expression looks like she's delivering these lines in the middle of taking a shit.
She may have been. We only saw her from the waist up.
She keeps like squinting her eyes.
Yeah, she's squinting her eyes and like she's straining her neck. It's
I never was clear on whose side she was on.
Nothing is clear in this movie. Nothing at all.
Fair enough.
It's the most confusing. Like her specifically, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know what happens later. I'm going to spoil it. I don't give a shit that that Eric Roberts is a traitor to Moscow, and so are these two Russians that have taken over the exploratory vessel.
Yeah.
And that they're working against the president because there's going to be an old switcheroo coming here in a minute. But this lady, this Natasha here, I have no idea whose side she's on at all. She explains that the Americans will think that this is just a reactor leak on the sunken sub, and it's not like Russia hasn't told bigger lies before, and the fat old president just sits there with his oxygen tube in his nose, never speaking. He's a saint among men in this movie. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Carrie Byers Pop Pop.
No, Paul, you don't say anything. You just sit right here.
Just sit there and stare.
Try not to look at the camera.
Don't look at her either.
She doesn't like when people stare at her when she takes a dump.
So we cut to yet another Russian sub, and here he is, Eric Roberts. Please save this movie, Eric Roberts, and do something drunken and hilarious.
Nope, because he's gone in 40 seconds.
Yeah. So Captain Eric Roberts, Captain, Novikov, orders the sub to dive down to its test depth. He gives some sub jargon, and the camera holds on him for just enough time to make it weird, and then cuts back to Jay and Scott. And that's it. That's all. That's scene number 1 for Eric Roberts. Out the way. He's a quarter done through this movie now. I want to go back and say that his accent, his Russian accent, is just rolling the R on every other word that he says.
Yeah. It's abysmal.
And his Mississippi accent's cutting through hard the whole time. This whole movie, just how you do a Russian accent. Well, no definite or indefinite articles. Never say a or the, and you're fine.
Yeah. He's from Moscow by way of Biloxi.
Yeah.
Oh man. He also he makes a lot of mouth noise.
Explain, John. Explain.
Yeah, he's constantly licking his lips, or I don't know. It's like he needed a drink of water or something before he started. And
yeah, all that whiskey's making him parched.
Hey, according to my trivia, he hasn't had a drink since 1995.
Bullshit.
So, I don't know. We watched Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, and he was taking that role pretty seriously.
Either that or he is the best actor ever.
Jay and Scott are on the screen with Svetlana again. And to me, she shoots a hostage, and it really looked like it was his son. Like, that was my knee-jerk reaction. Holy shit, she just offed his son like that. Done.
I didn't get that.
Didn't happen. She says that she's going to keep killing hostages until they comply. She explains that this has nothing to do with the Russian government, and it's an act of revolution. Then Demetrius, the other Russian, comes onto the screen and gives the location of the sunken sub. And they give him...
It's basically great value Sean Bean.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Jay's sucking down his pills as Scott tries to get a signal on his phone. Jay says they need to accept that they're all dead up there and that they've got a moral responsibility not to hand over this weapon to the terrorists. Scott says, fuck that. Then we launch into this whole comparison of gun control and school shootings. And this movie's trying to make a point, and I don't know what that point is.
Yeah, I don't know that the movie is. I don't know where this comes from. I mean, I guess. And
the characters keep bouncing all over the place politically. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Who knows? Nobody knows. Carrie Byer doesn't.
I ain't saying I'm not saying shit.
So they decide to find the nuke so that they can at least have some leverage over the terrorists. So they pick something up on the radar, and it's a sperm whale. Well, time for whale facts. Brain size, depths, lifespan.
Oh, my. Did you guys know that Eric Roberts is Julia Roberts' brother? I didn't know that.
That I did know. I did know that.
Wait, you're joking right now, right?
That I didn't know that?
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about Eric Roberts. Well, now I know.
Well, how do you think he?
Now I know a lot.
How do you think he landed all these roles? You thought it was just on his good looks and acting pedigree?
I mean, apparently he used to be a pretty good actor. I don't know.
No, it's from his monster mouth sibling.
All right, fine, but did you know he was on an episode of My Cat from Hell?
No, I didn't. It's an awesome show, by the way. Jackson Galaxy is the shit.
Was it his cat, or was he just like around in the episode?
No, it was him and his wife. They have 5 cats.
Him and his wife, and they couldn't get his sister off their couch.
Where were we? Whale facts. Just then there's a boom, and the ship springs a leak. So Scott turns the water hose valve on the ceiling to shut it off, because that's how submarines work.
Yep. Prove them wrong, Chase. How many submarines you built?
So now let's get into a big debate about contractors cutting corners, and sweet Jesus, I hate this movie.
It was just watching people have a conversation at work. That's all it was.
I think Carrie Byer thinks that he's from the Tarantino school of screenplay writing. Honestly, I think this is what he takes from Tarantino is just like long-windedness and not being interesting or entertaining.
Yeah, nothing interesting, at all.
Can we hunt down this guy like on Twitter or something and ask him to come on and explain himself?
Just explain yourself.
That'd be phenomenal.
And what did you do with that money?
Yeah, where's the money, Byer?
Exactly.
He's just that's gonna be a thing. Hashtag where's the money, Byer?
We Skype him and he comes on just sitting on a chair made out of money.
That money's gone.
Yeah. So,
but he's probably still got that red office chair that Jay had. That's probably where he's going to be sitting on.
So they finally find the sub, but Jay's worried about the battery that powers the submarine. Svetlana comes back on the screen, asks him if they found the sub yet. Scott denies that they found it and tells him that, if you piss us off enough, you're never going to get the sub. And then Svetlana launches into another speech about American values and morality and TV and blah, 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 blah. Svetlana pulls a crew member on the screen, goes through her personal pictures of her family, and she starts asking her if she's ever cheated on her husband. And after a lot of threatening, she confesses that she has. And what's the point of all of this?
None.
This is the scene, actually, that inspired my belief that he was trying to be Tarantino. Because it seems like the kind of thing that Tarantino would do, but he would have an interesting villain. And what they were up to would be interesting.
Yeah. She asks if the man that she loves... She asks if she loves the man that she's cheating with, and she confesses that she does, so Svetlana makes her call her family to confess to her husband about the affair, and then she kills her after the confession, and that was supposed to prove something.
I wish I could give you an answer, but I have none.
It's just to demonstrate their cruelty.
I was too busy reaching for my Kleenex for this well-established character who had just died on screen.
What is Svetlana's deal? We haven't talked about what she's like yet. She's super weird.
She's just, really awkward and weird, and
she's like she's super jazzed about being a terrorist.
Yeah, she's like, she can't stop moving, like she's wiggling all around because she's so amped up on being a terrorist.
Yeah, she's just bursting with energy.
Jay's very upset about this woman being killed, and that Scott caused this to happen. And I'm confused because didn't Jay want to write everyone off as dead anyway?
Yeah.
So, cut to a squadron of Russian jets, quote unquote Russian jets.
Yeah, this looks straight out of my dad's old flight simulator from '96.
You know they're Russian because of the big red star on their helmets.
Exactly.
So, and that's just to establish that there's a Russian jets coming. Cut back to the assholes.
Which ones?
Scott gets an unknown call, and he doesn't want to answer it. He finally does answer it, and there's no one on the other line. And then they find...
And nothing's ever made of that again.
No, nothing at all. I thought that was going to be like, that was the CIA guy calling him, and that was just, they were just pinging him to get his location, and they were going to show up and save the day. But no.
It's never mentioned again.
No. It goes from this to them finding an octopus, and it inspires them to move on.
The octopus gave them the courage.
Are there octopi at the bottom of the ocean like that?
At the bottom of the Marianas Trench? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Isn't it all just crabs that live off of vents and shit?
Yeah, from what I read, the bottom of the Marianas Trench, when Cameron went down, all he found was very small shrimp and no other life whatsoever. Certainly not octopi.
Right.
But, you know what else they find down there at the bottom of the fucking Marianas Trench in the middle of the Pacific? They find a 1990 Dodge Ram hardtop.
Yeah.
In the middle of the Pacific fucking Ocean.
AKA the Russian sub.
So that's why it went down.
They got that Flex Seal on it. They got that Cajun Navy Edition Flex Seal.
It runs on vodka and broken government promises.
As they continue their search, Jay says that they've got a minor problem with the O2 sensor, and that it's only saying that they've got 6 hours of oxygen left, and it's going to take 4 hours just to ascend, so they better get going.
You know, if you're going down to the bottom of the ocean, I think a little more preparation should be involved. Like, Jay didn't prepare for shit.
No. Well, this was kind of a one-way ticket for him.
Yeah, but the audience doesn't know that.
No. He came
Spoiler alert.
He came with only what he thought he needed, as long as everything went exactly right.
Yeah. No, he brought one extra asshole too, though.
And this is also like the seventh conversation that they've had that ended with the line, I guess we better find that sub.
Yeah.
So Scott asks Jay if he wears glasses, and he doesn't know where they are. And Scott finds out that they've been going in circles because of this. You know, you didn't have your glasses on. You didn't even know what we're doing. But then they find the sub from going around in circles.
AKA the pickup truck.
And again in this scene, it's like they're intentionally keeping their voices down. It's like, it's as if they snuck onto the soundstage of a real movie and set up in the corner and just tried to film incognito and then sneak out.
They didn't want them sperm whales to hear them talking down there.
So Jay reveals that he doesn't have stage 4 cancer, and it was all a ruse just to keep Scott from turning them back when he had his heart attack. So now they have to use the power armor to retrieve the nuke. So Scott takes the suit out with his crappy Tony Stark HUD around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you never see anything.
And you never see him get in or out of the suit.
Yeah, all you ever get...
Or the suit.
Or the
suit move.
Yeah, they have a...
You see the suit once when he reveals it, and it's just still, but you never see it walking around.
No.
Right.
You just get one shot, like, way up in his face.
So Jay talks Scott through the technicalities of operating the suit and operating himself, telling him how to be calm and whatnot. Scott asks Jay a favor, and he says that in his bag, there's a ring box, and if anything happens to him, he wants Amanda to have it. Amanda is the name of the girlfriend. Hey, we got a name. Demetrius is on the intercom at 2, apparently, and tells Scott that he needs to enter a password to get into the door of the sub to find the nuke.
Let me tell you something before we talk about this password. If you're planning on having that password as a trivia question...
It's not.
I was going to tell you it was a bad move because like the Field Freak supply list, there's a pretty damn complicated song I had to come up with in my head to remember that.
Oh my god. I didn't bother after like five places. I was like, he's not going to have this as a question. And if he does, fuck him.
I'm pretty confident I can remember it like on cue, but I wanted to say it out loud now in the hopes of just if it was on there that it would be stricken from the record.
Well, it's not, so do what you want.
Sing your song, man.
No. I can't tell you the password though.
What was the password?
The password K79 backwards N P526 B backwards R 846153.
That's a complicated password.
It's my new password to my router, by the way.
You
got a Russian keyboard.
You got a backwards N on your keyboard?
No, it's written out backwards N.
If he screws up the password, he'll be locked out permanently. Jay gets out of Demetrius that he sabotaged the sub carrying the Prometheus. I guess now it's time for a speech about the Russian alphabet.
Yeah, because we need that.
So Demetrius cuts out before he can give the final digit of the code. And they debate back and forth whether or not it's the number 3 or the letter 3 that should be pressed. So they opt to do nothing. And after waiting for an undetermined amount of time, they finally decide to just pick a key. And he says that he's going to hit the number, but he, quote-unquote, accidentally hits the letter, even though they're on opposite sides of the keyboard.
Yeah,
also, it should be noted, they're doing all this while they're running out of oxygen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're running out of oxygen. We only have so much to get back to the surface. He cut out. I needed the last number. We can wait.
Yeah.
So he hits the wrong... Okay, and here's the point to make. He accidentally hits the one that he didn't intend to press. And he says that it didn't work. Yet the door opens and they see the nuke.
I think what happened was he had asked Jay whether it should be the number or the letter. And they went back and forth. Jay thought it was the number. He thought it was the letter. And whenever he said finally, Jay said hit the number. I think he was telling him he was going to hit the number, even though he wanted to hit the letter. So he hit the letter because that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. But then after that, he said that it didn't work.
Yeah, but just because it was on a delay.
Yeah, he was expecting something.
You know how Russian subs work.
He had to get that coat hanger out and jimmy it down the window of the truck.
Yeah.
So just then, Jay has another heart attack. Oh no. He drops all his pills before he can take them, and Demetrius comes back on.
He didn't drop his pills. He threw them haphazardly through the submarine.
Well, he was in his death throes from that massive heart attack he was having.
Yeah.
Demetrius comes back on, tells Scott that Jay's dead, and he needs to free the nuke from the tube. And I was still confused because I thought he didn't even get into the thing.
I also liked how many times they said tube in this movie.
Cut back to our hero, Eric Roberts, as he receives orders from Moscow to destroy any vessel attempting to reach the Prometheus. He orders the torpedoes readied. And this is where I was wondering about the planes. What about Baroness von Takes a Shit and the Russian president's orders? What's going on here?
I was disappointed nobody used the word vessels yet.
Vessels. Yeah, nuclear vessels. Then, Natasha comes back on and gets on the phone and tells Eric Roberts that the strikes on... No, I don't know who she's talking to. She's talking to another character that we've yet to see, the general. It says that the strike is underway, and they're using Eric Roberts to destroy the Prometheus and the search team. But then the planes coming are going to destroy the sub with Eric Roberts, leaving no evidence behind. Clear as mud. Well, who's going to destroy the planes?
Yeah.
You didn't think this through, Russia.
And also, why do they think they can destroy a sub with some planes?
You know what's really I'm just mad at myself now because it just hit me like, oh yeah, how are they gonna get us up with a
plane? So we cut to a Navy search plane looking for the research ship, and the Russian fighters engage it and shoot it down. Cut to the Navy fleet launching fighter jets. Well, thanks to the U.S. Navy for this stock footage.
Right.
It's the only real thing in the movie. Back at the sub, Scott is back on board magically, having helped. He's helping Jay recover. Scott reveals that he has the Prometheus warhead, which looks like a plastic egg timer, and by all accounts is a plastic egg timer.
Yes.
He helps Jay up as they're ready to release the ballast and surface finally. Svetlana calls, and she keeps asking over and over to see the warhead, and she gets all tingly every time that happens. Because, again, she's just full of energy. She loves her job.
Because Quan's balls tingle and jingle.
Quan's balls are all into tingle and the jingle. So she says once she has the weapon, she'll free the survivors. However, Jay's son has become insubordinate, and she kills him on screen. Jay's devastated, blames himself. There's a problem drop.
My man cries real tears right here.
Yeah.
You gotta.
He's a real actor.
Where's that man's toilet paper tube in the shape of an Oscar?
So there's a problem dropping the ballast, and they're going to have to release it manually. And Jay volunteers. And sweet Jesus, they're going to Armageddon this shit, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They mentioned
Steven Tyler now.
Did they mention Bruce Willis yet or not yet?
She called him in her speech about American morality and values. She said that he was no Bruce Willis.
Right. Okay.
Way earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to be important, but lo and behold.
Right.
Cut to the U.S. fighter squadron, closing in on the Russians. They engage. We see some dogfighting that means nothing.
I couldn't tell you who won. I don't know what planes got blew up.
I lost track of which planes were which.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I lost track.
Very confusing.
In Top Gun, they made sure you knew which ones were the MiGs.
Yeah.
Not the case in this one.
No. Cut to Demetrius, and he's assaulting Amanda in the bowels of the ship.
Oh, God.
She spits in his...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. What's John thinking now?
Just the sentence, if it would have cut off when you said instead of saying in the ship. Yeah, that's.
So she spits in his face. He gives her a smack. That's all of that scene. Moving on. Cut to Air Force One.
I have questions.
Oh, God.
What you got?
Well, okay. This is the sexual assault, right? That we're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay. He says that he's heard a lot of good things about her from the others?
Yeah, I was confused about that too.
Did he mean, are there other hijackers that we never see, or is he talking about the rest of the crew of the ship?
I was hoping he was talking about the rest of the crew on the ship.
I also was hoping this. Because otherwise it's suggesting that this poor pregnant woman has been raped by a bunch of terrorists.
Right.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And it serves no
the pitfalls
purpose.
of poor writing.
Oh, God. Okay.
Well, let's just, everybody on the ship liked her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll leave it at that.
All right.
Yeah. Moving on. We cut to Air Force One. Not the movie. That would be wonderful. The president is on the phone with Baroness von Toilet Face.
You always know he's the president because they always make sure to have the seal behind him.
Yeah. That's how they remind you of things, by putting shit in the background on the green screen. I got a big point to make with that later. We're gonna get to it. So they agree that she tells him that the Russians didn't sanction this attack on the U.S. Navy. He raises the alert to DEFCON 3 because he's the president. Jay's out in the power armor trying to release the ballast, and yeah, they're gonna Armageddon this shit. He releases the ballast, and the sub begins to rise. And he even says that I'm going to stay here and enjoy the view line.
Yeah, that was... Come on. Come on.
This movie has nothing to do with Armageddon, so why are you making comparisons in your writing here? Why?
The Bruce Willis thing, I guess? Yeah. I don't know. So this pissed...
Fun fact.
This pissed me... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was asking you for a fun fact to save us.
Oh, here we go. But Eric Roberts is in a bunch of music videos, including Rihanna's "Bitch Better Have My Money" and "Mr. Brightside" by the Killers.
Bitch better have my money.
Is he the bitch in that scenario?
I don't know. I think he's like a... I don't know. I didn't go that deep. I didn't go watch the video.
What were you gonna say?
This pissed me off because back when they showed the specs for the suit, one of the features is ion drive propulsion, which suggests to me that the thing can move on its own, or can be driven. So why can't...
Also, that sub wasn't going up too quickly. So why couldn't he just hold on?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, the depth capacity...
Well, how much air is in the suit?
The same amount as him being at the bottom of the ocean, but at least he's got a chance.
Yeah.
It says it's got emergency life support for 42 hours. So there's some.
Oh, shit.
Also, the depth...
They've got a better chance in the suit than the sub.
Yeah. The only other thing is that the depth capacity was 14,000 meters. And we know that the depth of the trench is 36,000. So he's already dead. He was dead as soon as he went out there.
There's John wiping out a trivia question.
Yeah. Shoot.
Good job, John.
Sorry.
No, that's awesome.
Oh, okay, good.
That's only the first one.
You're doing God's work now.
As Demetrius, I guess... Okay, I don't know if we're seeing him finishing assaulting Amanda, or if he gives up.
Yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah.
It cuts to him zipping up and leaving.
But I will tell you this. She had zero reaction to this happening to her.
No. That's why I was questioning if it happened at all.
Well, I mean, her mascara was runny.
Maybe it was humid.
That's true. It could be.
It gets humid down in them bowels.
Because she had zero reaction to it.
It doesn't seem to affect her very much.
No.
But she's running on pure adrenaline now. It's survival mode.
Well, even later in the movie, she has zero reaction to it.
She got PTSD now.
Maybe.
She disassociated from the experience.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. So Demetrius drops a phone from his bag as he leaves. She manages to get it, and she calls Scott. She makes him promise, whatever happens, do not give the nuke over, no matter what. And the call goes out. Demetrius has rigged the ship with explosives, and Svetlana is aware of the approaching threat of both the Russians and the U.S. She calls Scott says that she's going to kill Amanda if Scott doesn't deliver the nuke. And she monologues about her diabolical plan as Amanda gives him the slip. Svetlana sends Demetrius after her. She frees herself, gets a pipe, waits for him to approach. They scuffle around with no sound at all. There's just music in this scene with a couple of bad ADR punch noises. And then Svetlana gets to drop on her with a gun anyway. So that whole scene was pointless. Cut to Eric Roberts again. Almost done with Eric Roberts, folks. He doesn't have many scenes left. And you gotta love the wood paneling in his Russian submarine.
I didn't notice that.
The interior of the Russian submarine is all wood paneling.
Well, it is a Russian sub.
Yeah. So he's there with his second in command, Yuri, and he's urging Eric Roberts to follow Moscow's orders, and to which Eric Roberts says, "It's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in our shelves," is how he delivered that line. Eric Roberts then poisons one of 2 shots of vodka in front of him, hands one to his second command, and says, "May your loyalty to the president never be questioned." And as he says this line, in the background of the shot, hanging on the wall, is a picture of the president. That's just a still frame from his scene earlier in the movie.
Yeah. Why would you have a picture of your president, like, looking feeble with an oxygen tube in his nose?
Because we needed to remind the audience of who he was at that exact moment.
It couldn't be like
his name was being spoken.
Couldn't be a nice portrait or something? It's got to be like the last known picture of your grandpa.
Also, shame on this dude for adding that detail, but not putting a window in the sub.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, let's put a picture of the president in the background. People might have forgotten what he looked like by now. Just this weird picture of him.
They also, one thing I noticed in this scene was that you can see Eric Roberts is like, his little shell necklace that he wears constantly. He's still got it on. Didn't even make him take it off.
Oh, he's got a puka bee necklace underneath this Russian military garb.
Or like an amber necklace or something.
We're almost done, folks. We're getting there. They drink. Yuri's gonna die. The sub finally surfaces. Svetlana meets up with Eric Roberts on what's clearly outside on top of the submarine. They were in cahoots the whole time. Roberts gives a slurred speech about being loyal to the cause and blah blah blah. And the crew and any crew who wasn't is now dead. And he also gives this little tidbit that the crew's been exposed to radiation. And I don't know why we needed to know that, because it never comes back up.
Really
nope, never does.
Super pointless.
They keep making points to talk about radiation leaks and how dangerous they are, like they're trying to make a point about something. So Scott surfaces as Svetlana and Demetrius have Amanda on the surface, ready to make the trade. He comes out as Demetrius says that under his breath, "Oh, I'll kill him once we have the nuke, don't worry." And then Scott reveals that he's strapped the C4 to himself, and that he'll blow them all up if they try anything, and demands that they give him Amanda first, and they comply by throwing her into the water. So he throws the nuke at them, dives into the water for her, and then they drive the sub away by just sliding the frame off to the right. They're still standing on the top. So
you guys got to get in there before it goes down, right? You know that. As they're driving away, she once again says that he's no Bruce Willis. Scott and Amanda swim back to the mini sub and climb aboard as the Columbia explodes. The Columbia is the name of the ship, by the way. Explodes behind them. Amanda's pissed about him giving them the nuke because, she's an environmentalist. She's going to break up with him now as he rolls his eyes. Like this is an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He thinks,
once
my God.
again, totally not worried that she was assaulted.
Well, he doesn't know.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't care either.
You think that she would mention it.
Right,
you
just
think it
right
would still
then?
be with her.
Right then?
I would.
It happened like 30 minutes ago.
They just got reunited. You'd save that for later, after you're saved. Yeah. That's what I'd do.
So, Eric Roberts orders them to turn around and to blow him up with a torpedo. Because a torpedo would make a nice parting gift. So, he orders the submarine to make their depth 50 feet. You mean 50 feet, Eric?
Also,
that's how they talk on subs.
Well,
50 feet.
Are the Russians on standard measurements or metric?
Well, they're on standard now.
Okay. Everything else, everybody's been talking about meters, but then all of a sudden it's 50 feet.
Oh, they're definitely in meters. They definitely use meters. This was just...
Well, you know how the whole thing goes where you say 50, and they're like, what, 15? You're like, no, 50. And this cuts out that whole business.
Just avoids any confusion at all.
I can't argue with that one bit.
So, as this happens, Scott pulls out a detonator, but it doesn't really do anything because he sits there pressing it a lot. I don't know why they needed to do that shtick. The sub readies to fire as Svetlana opens up the warhead to reveal that it's been removed and replaced with C4. And she delivers her next final line with Oscar-level performance. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
She's just mildly inconvenienced by being blown up.
She was so full of life through the whole movie. And her final line is just eh.
Yeah, the only thing that can really crush her spirits is dying. Dying
in this tiny little pop of an explosion.
It's underwater.
It's just little. It's like the little fireworks at the end of the Super Mario Brothers level. Just boop, boop. That's it. Submarine sinks to the ocean floor for a half an hour. We have to watch the whole thing go down. Scott says, "Who's Bruce Willis now? Not you."
No, he's at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. Bruce Willis is at the bottom. He's at the bottom of the ocean waiting 48 hours for his reserves to go out.
So Scott uses this opportunity to propose, since they're more than likely going to die out there. She calls him a dick for his trouble.
Here's another thing. Probably another good chance to bring up the fact that you were assaulted.
Yeah. That's
instead of being happy.
Yeah. Why don't you hold on to that proposal real quick? I just want to let you know I'm damaged goods. Like, that's not how you want to go.
So they say that if they get out of this, Scott says if they get out of this, he's not going to take that job at that power company that she doesn't want him to take and that she had all the problems with. And just then the phone rings, and it's Bob Ryan at the CIA, who's clearly inside the cockpit of a plane.
Yeah.
Bob asks for their location, and Scott says, "You're in the CIA. You figure it out. Do you want to live, asshole?"
Clearly not.
Tell them where you are. So Bob then motions off camera for what I thought, I swear he was asking for the script because he didn't know his next line. We see one final shot of Scott and Amanda, and it holds on them long enough to think that something's going to happen. It doesn't. Terrible CGI plane approaches, and we cut to the credits. Now, earlier in the movie, they were talking, Jay and Scott were talking at the bottom of the trench about there possibly being dinosaurs. And I swear to God, in this last scene where it's her and him on the thing, just sitting there, and it holds on them for a while, I was wanting a dinosaur to pop up.
I don't remember them talking about dinosaurs.
Yeah, they were talking about there could be a prehistoric creature down here left over. I said, that's going to come back.
That would have saved
There's going to be a dinosaur in this.
That would have saved the movie right there.
Could have. Didn't. Oy, 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 oy.
Did you guys know that Eric Roberts is really good friends with Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, there you go. Oy, well, that's over, and I just want to move on to the quiz at this point.
Yeah,
because I'm depressed.
This fucking movie.
So, fun and games are over. Time to get down to business with the quiz.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll be asking 5 questions based on Road Strike that Blake and John will be answering. The host that gets the most questions correct gets the honor of being quizmaster for the next episode based on the movie they picked, which is either going to be Blake.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
We can never remember the names of our movies. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, or, John?
Deadly Sin.
Deadly Sin. In case of a tiebreaker question will be asked. The first host to shout out the answer wins. However you answer incorrectly, you lose. Let's begin, gentlemen. Okay. One question has been stricken, and that was how much pressure can Jay's ADS withstand, which was 14,000 meters. I want to add on to that. It was 14,000 meters and beyond.
Oh, I see.
So who knows how deep it could
that doesn't make any sense. So it only works starting at 14,000 meters?
Yeah. That is correct.
I don't know. Okay. So, starting for real this time. Okay. First question. What was the name of the engineer aboard the Russian sub carrying the Prometheus? Question number 2. How much time is left on the tape when Scott first begins recording?
Yes!
All right. What class is the sub Eric Roberts is the captain of?
Booyah.
How many was that? 3?
Yep.
Question 4. How many letters are in the Russian alphabet?
Oh, crap. I gotta guess that one.
And the final question. What is the code name for the Russian operation to destroy the Prometheus and any vessels trying to retrieve it?
I have no clue.
All right, gentlemen, pencils down.
I know I got two of them. I got 2 guesses. We'll just go through it. Never mind.
Let's go through. So, what was the name of the engineer aboard the Russian sub carrying the Prometheus?
I said Yuri.
I got nothing. I don't know.
It was Vladimir.
I
should have just put whatever generic Russian name I could think of.
That's all I did.
Question 2. How much time is left on the tape when Scott first begins recording?
72 minutes.
72 minutes. Yes, sir.
All right. We're 1-1. No double feature this week. What class is the sub Eric Roberts is the captain of?
Typhoon.
Tied up still. Uh-oh. How many letters are in the Russian alphabet?
33?
33. Shit.
33.
Uh-oh.
3-3. What is the code name for the Russian operation to destroy the Prometheus and any vessels trying to retrieve it?
Monster Mouth.
God, let's see. I don't know. Perestroika.
Operation Storm.
Oh, that's nice.
So, we're tied up. Now, in this unique case, normally we would just do the tiebreaker question. But, because this was a double feature, John is subject to 3 bonus questions that can potentially take away from his score. So before we do the tiebreaker, let's see what happens with these.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I like this.
So, John, you got to get through 3 questions. You got to get them all right to have a chance at the tiebreaker to win this week.
This is a nightmare.
Now, I told John earlier in a text that these questions were either going to be a godsend or a curse. And there's a reason for that. You're going to notice that there's a theme to these 3 questions based on The Minion, starring Dolph Lundgren. And the theme of it is based on what got you here in the first place. So, without further ado, the first question. On what hand does Lucas wear his demon-slaying glove?
Okay. Should I just call it out?
Just say it, because you're the only one doing it.
Yeah.
His right hand.
Correct. What hand does Lucas wear his ecclesiastical ring?
His left hand.
Correct.
I love that it's all 50-50.
Final question. In the final moments of the movie, which of Lucas's arms does Karen bandage?
Oh, his left arm.
Correct.
God damn it.
Nerve-wracking. John got through the double feature unscathed, so now we got to do the tiebreaker. Now, the problem is here, because you guys screwed up one of my questions, I only have one tiebreaker question.
Oh, boy.
So this is it. This is for everything.
Okay, and we have to wait until the question's over with, right?
Yeah, wait until the question is completely over.
Okay.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it quick, but enough for you to get it.
Okay.
First one to say it wins. And I get to, if it's close, I'm going to be the judge of who.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Tiebreaker question. What launch tube is the Prometheus nuke located in?
Number 7.
John wins!
Yes, sir!
Son of a bitch.
Get fucked!
Oh. Did you have it, Blake, or were you just having to think?
I didn't know it. I didn't know it.
Yes!
Holy shit, John won.
Oh my god, to dig myself
from
out of there. It's so...
From a double feature.
Wow.
From a double feature, having to answer 3 bonus questions.
Ooh.
Damn.
That's pretty good. Pretty impressive.
Oh boy. I needed this. I needed it bad.
John's back in the game.
I needed it bad. Hey, can I, this is interesting because it's pretty apropos. I have one piece of Eric Roberts trivia. And it's a quote from Eric Roberts. I had a perfect track record up to Rude Awakening in 1989. Then the track record goes bumpy. Then it goes bad. And I'm ruining myself with B movies. I've done a lot of shit, but I have reinstated myself.
With Homie Alone?
with the Homie Alone.
Well, that was exciting.
Man.
It was.
I gotta say, that was probably the most exciting quiz we've ever done.
Thank God for those Minion questions, dude.
Because at first I was doing actual questions, and I said, what if I just made them all 50-50s about hands?
That's awesome.
Because I had what radio station was playing during the opening credits of the movie.
WKBR.
Okay, yeah. I can't remember some of the other ones. What did the gunman that shot up the police station say when he started firing?
Oh no, I don't know.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It wasn't. Oh, it was Christmas. That's right. They were in a heat wave.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then my last question was which arm was bandaged up, and that's what made me think I should just make them all about which limb did what.
Right.
I have so many notes from that movie, dude.
Too bad.
None of them were which arm anything was on.
So were those just 3 educated guesses?
I definitely knew the first and third. because I could see it in my head. But like the second one, when is that? They're like driving somewhere. Is that the only time you see his ring?
There's a couple scenes where you see it. Okay. The one where I got it from was when he's in the jail cell and he's like rubbing his head.
Oh, okay.
You can see it on his left hand. But okay, here's a question, because I didn't watch the movie. I just skimmed through it. Is the only scene where he uses that glove in the very beginning?
Yeah, he loses it like pretty early on.
The cover of the movie is him with that glove.
It was a pretty cool piece too. I don't know why they made him lose it.
Well, we'll never know because
we can't talk about it.
There you have it, folks. John is victorious.
Yeah.
And we will be watching whatever the movie was that he picked.
Deadly.
I am a little upset.
You're still in the lead.
Well, see, you're still in the lead, but you're going up against me, and you've yet to win against me.
Well,
so this could be 2 in a row for you.
These last 2 podcasts have been upsets.
Yeah, that's true. Blake, I was supposed to lose last week, and Blake was supposed to win this week by our track record.
Yep.
The tides are a-changing, so maybe I will lose next week. Who knows?
All right.
So, I'd like to thank everybody for listening that has been listening. If you could take a little bit of time and give us a review on iTunes, we would appreciate that just so very much. While you're there, you can subscribe to get all our latest episodes as soon as they go live. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Garbage Theater. You can follow us on Twitter at @garbage_theater. We're on Instagram now at some address that I can't remember. What is it, John?
Garbage_theater.
There we go. Check us out on there. We're going to have some stuff up there. John's running that one. If there's a movie,
it's going to be chaos.
If there's a movie that you'd like us to suggest to us, we're open to suggestions. So contact us at either Facebook, Twitter, or you can email us at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you next week for another episode of Coming Attractions, where Blake and I will present to you 2 more movies. And any last words, gentlemen?
No.
Dude, I'm back.
It's good to hear John happy again.
Back in the game.
Yeah. So, we'll see you then, folks.